We're going to look today at Scrap Crazy, 6 Inches by Karen Montgomery, and showing you now some pictures of some really terrific creations made with this fabulous little template. These are 6-inch finish blocks. That means they measure 6.5 by 6.5. And I'm having a whole lot of fun with it, and I'm really excited to unpack this one for you. Use this with your scraps or a fat quarter collection or plan out a whole quilt. Lots of options here.
Hi there. We're going to talk Scrap Crazy 6, and I'm going to be showing you how to cut using this great template set. I really love this. One of the features that I love about this, and we're going to be talking about this more, is that Unit A, for example, is it has some options to it. You can see there's an optional line on there, and the other piece to it that I really like about this one is that Unit A works for other designs. The publication that goes along with this that we're going to be talking about shows you some options of quilts that you can put together. This is probably one of the most commonly asked for pieces when people start thinking scrap quilt. They think they want to do one with decorative stitches. And it's a great one. This one pairs together a bunch of cave fabric. It also shows you where you can actually use this template to cut alternate units. So, for example, there in using the template, you can cut things that you've pieced together and then recut them and make them into other pieces. This is what it looks like with a stack shuffle of this, and this is what one of those border alternates that look like. Great table runner piece as well. Lovely piece that's there. Some really fascinating things you can do with just the individual templates, not just working with the Crazy Eight, but this all comes out of this wonderful publication called Scrap Crazy 6. You need the templates to go with it. And those items are they're available. We have them at the store and we ship pretty much everywhere. So and we work with them these pieces here. So what I like about this is I'm actually going to show you how to cut this all in one sitting. The pieces that I have over here, this is from Crazier Eights. So we're going to talk today about a Scrap Crazy 6. This one in particular was a bigger block, so that's another option. But today we're going to talk about uh, the Scrap Crazy 6. And I'm going to walk you through how I actually work with this. Now, my favorite way to work with this is that I have the templates there. And then what I do is I love how they're marked. So they're marked that you can actually see right on the template how they fit together. So I'm using an Olfa rotating mat. And I've cut these pieces down. These are actually a strip that's 10 inches because that's what I'd used with my earlier one. And I went through and I laid those pieces on there. And I actually am going to do a little bit of trimming down before I go too far with this. And since I'm on a rotating mat, I'm going to be able to flip around. And I cut it just past the size that I need for the stack. Now I have stacked up 4 fabrics on this. And those 4 fabrics are because I'm going to be cutting all 4 of them at the same time for this template. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it over and I want to cut a baseline that's about the angle of what those 2 templates are. And if you notice, I moved that over a little bit. And now I'm isolating my units. And I can come in here with that rotating mat and I'm going to cut that C. Now I usually go that where I start about halfway up the middle and then I go back and cut the last pieces. But I love this rotating mat because it can go ahead and help me to be able to access all those sides. If you notice, there was that corner back there. And I'm going to leave my C template there because I want you to see how I go with and do these other pieces. When I'm using templates like this, I keep 4 fingers on the template and 1 finger off. I also like to take those little dog ears off and I like to get them off my mat because my mat is going straight to my sewing machine. Now I'm going to lay that A template on there. I want to make sure my B is going to fit in there. Sure is. And I'm going to lay the B in there and I'm going to cut that first. I'm going to pull that A away and I'm going to start cutting my dog ears. And if you notice, I cut those dog ears, and I'm using a very big rotary cutter. I like this because I'm cutting through multiple layers. It stays sharper longer because it is bigger. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that A piece on there, and I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to cut off those dog ears again. And so then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut off that piece. I'm going to cut off my dog ears. A lot of times I just press down on my rotary cutter to get those in place. Now I have my units so that they're all cut. I'm going to remove my templates, and I'm going to set them in like this. Now I'm going to take the top fabric, put it on the bottom, take the top two fabrics, put them on the bottom, take that bottom fabric of the 4 stack and put it on top. Now I'm going to head over to my sewing machine. Now when I sew these together, I have 4 blocks stacked up there. I am only going to work on 1 block at a time. So I sent through a leader first, a leader fabric of a little 2 patch through my machine. And on this one, I'm going to line up those corners, but I'm actually going to flip it over and I'm going to sew from the back side so I don't have a big space in between. So I basically just sewed together the 2 elements of a 4 patch. I'm removing my leader on there. I'm actually going to send through another ender when I go through there, because what I want to do is I want to release that 4 patch and show you. I have finger pressed that away, and then I'm going to take the other half of my block and I'm going to finger press it away, and then I'm going to line the 2 up together, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to sew it together. Voila, a whole block just got done really, really fast. This tape is sped up a little bit. It took me 16 minutes to sew 4 blocks, cut to sew. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually send these through. This is technically a 4 patch. So I picked up 2. Now I'm going to pick up the next 2 and put them together. So now my block is together with all 4 units chain pieced right next to each other. So I'm going to open up that 1 block and I'm going to show you what it all looks like, and I finger press it and it's done. So now I'm going on to block number 3. I'm going to send those 2 through because it's a 4 patch. That's all it really is. It's a funny shaped 4 patch, but it is a 4 patch. And I'm going to send them through the machine and I'm chaining them together. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to sew the next 4 patch together. There's 2 and 2. So Crazy 6 is just a 4 patch block. Now it's a funny shaped 4 patch, but it's just a 4 patch. So I'm going to cut them apart. I'm going to finger press them. And now what I'm going to do is I have to cut them apart in the middle. And then I'm going to finger press it back. I don't like ironing it because if I iron it, I can stretch those shapes. Those shapes are, some of them are biased, some of them are a really funny shape. So now behind me, behind my needle, I have 2 more blocks and there are 4 patches. And again, I'm first going to open them up and press them, and then I'm going to clip them apart, and then I'm going to send them through the sewing machine and I'm going to sew them together. So now I have 3 finished blocks through my needle, and I have 1 in the back that is still waiting to go through. You can see this is going to be easy peasy and so fast to put together. And there we go. I'm clipping them apart and I'm putting it together as a 4 patch. This is Crazy 6 scrap patch template, scrap Crazy 6 template. And look at that. I have 4 blocks done in less than 16 minutes. Now I can go ahead and keep making more of these. What's great about them being a 6-inch is that they work together really well as 6-inch blocks. And I'm going to send through an ender through there. I've got a little 4 patch, a regular 4 patch that I'm sending through. So I always put enders and leaders through. If you're participating in classes with us, we always teach people this method because you can literally get a whole border done on something without ever, without having a whole bunch of leftovers. So we're going to hide that. And I'm going to show you this quilt back here. So this quilt has a panel in it called Dream Big. If you want that panel, then go to our website and type in panels and you'll see this. But on this one in particular, I created a border around this, and these blocks are 6-inch blocks, 6-inch finish. So they're 6.5 inches. And so when I sewed these guys together, I put them up against this panel. Now, That means that 6, 12, 18, 24, that panel has to be 24 and a half inches wide. Well, when I'm dealing with blocks like the scrap crazy blocks or blocks like this, I actually, what I did instead of adding strips onto the sides of this, because it actually measured 24 inches, this one in particular, sometimes they measure 23 inches. What I did instead was I just took extra seams towards the bottom. So I put a piece on the bottom and I have a piece on the top, just one row, and it's the right size. So don't let panels boss you. You manage the panel. Now, I bring this up at this point because these great blocks that we just created, I don't have my little 6-inch ones, but like these guys, these are 8-inch finished. I could have put 8-inch finished around this and put 3 of them along the bottom. I can put the scrap crazy 6 along the bottom, and I can put 4 of them along the bottom. And then the length of it, I did an increment of 6s so that it fit in that panel. And in this one in particular, this panel was 42 inches. So I was able to get the sides to fit perfectly. And then I was just able to finish up. How big did I make it? How much fabric do I have? Well, in particular with these fabrics, I bought half a yard of about 6 or 8 fabrics, I think. And then I bought that great little orange in there because I felt it needed a little pop. And out of those half yards, I made 2 quilts that went around a Dream Big panel. I made another one. So I made that one first. It was a little bit more planned. This one was scrappy. So I made as many of these units as I had fabric. When I ran out of fabric, I was done making the size of the quilt. Well, what happens if you have 2 or 3 extra blocks? Well, you can do a couple things. You can put them into a border. So, like on the outside edge of this, I'm going to get a border for it. If I had any extra blocks, I could just randomly sew those in the outside edge. Many of you are a little intimidated by doing this. You think you're not creative enough. And what I want you to do is I want you to lean into your disdain for having extra leftover fabric of something that you would have to go buy a whole lot of more fabric with to match it with. And I really feel strongly that if you use it up in the border, then you can move on to something else. Now, if you absolutely like that orange, I absolutely love that orange. If I have leftover orange, if I have less than a fourth of a yard of orange, I'm using that puppy up. I'm done. Because I know that when I want to use that orange for something else, it's not going to work. Now, this is when you absolutely love that orange. Go to the store, go online, shop with us. Always, if you love it that much, buy 4 yards minimum, 4 yards, because if you like it that much, you're not going to find it again. So when you're working with the scraps, when you're done with the scraps, be done with them. This one in particular, I pulled all these scraps, all these kinds of colors out of my stash. I will tell you that I've looked at this so much that I am done with them. I really am done with them. So I have it planned out where now I've moved on. I mean, I enjoyed working with the crazier 8s. I've moved to the crazy 6, the scrap crazy 6, because I have another plan for those that are going to be 6-inch blocks. And I can't wait to show you that plan. And I'll show you in another video. So thanks so much for shopping with us at Inspired to Sew. Thanks so much for investing in our education and programming. Take care.